Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. We are finalizing up this week. This is the last week for my kids before school break and before our big trip to Disney. So we are super excited around here. Getting ready, packing is going on. Stuff's about half packed. All of our Disney shirts are pulled out and laid out and organized on the couch to figure out which ones we're taking and which ones we're leaving behind because we got some new ones. Snacks are packed. Our kids' snacks. I talked about this last week. How I was setting myself up for success this trip. So. I have each of my kids have their snack bags for the entire time all packed, but those are about half packed. Some of the stuff, the stuff that I'm taking with us from here, and then obviously when we get down there, we order from Instacart, and we have all the rest of our stuff delivered to our room. So that'll all get separated up, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as our week goes on, as to how I am planning to make it through a successful trip, so that I can come home like I did after last year's winter vacation trip, down on the scale and not up. Because that is my goal. And that's really what I wanted to, it wasn't about the scale that I wanted to talk to you about tonight, but about, what are we doing in our lives? How are we creating the life that we want? And what happens when it gets hard? Because it really does get hard for every single one of us. I know I don't always put it out there where it's hard for me, but I can tell you that there are definitely days and times and weeks and sometimes months where it's really hard, and I just feel like throwing in the towel and saying, what am I doing this for? Any of it, all of it. It doesn't, various things in my life, and we all get that way. We all go through seasons. We all go through times where life just feels really, really, really hard. And I know this time of year brings out the best in people, and it also for a lot of people brings out the worst in people, which is why I wanted to talk about this tonight, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I can really relate to it about how hard this time of year is. And I happen to, have fallen in love with this time of year because there are so many people that start reaching out and ask for help. And so for me, that livens me up because it means I get to help more and more and more people. But for a lot of people, it's a really, really, really tough time. And so I wanted to, first of all, tell you that if it's a tough time, you have people here. I'm here to listen. I'm here to help any way that I can. And there are a lot of people there, out here that are willing to help and listen. But I posted a meme this morning, and if you didn't see it on my timeline, you can scroll down through my timeline and take a look at it. And the meme was a lion looking down at its cub, and it said, "I thought about quitting, but then I noticed who was watching." And it's really, I had one person who commented right there, but I had a whole bunch of people who messaged me today saying thank you for this, because it's so, we sometimes forget about that. We sometimes feel like life is just so overwhelming and sitting on our shoulders, and all the stress of sitting on our shoulders. And sometimes it's just easier to say, I quit. I'm done. I stop, and giving up on things. And the truth of the matter is stop and think, what's going to happen if you give up? What's going to happen if you don't keep moving forward in whatever that goal is? Where are you going to go, and how are you going to feel? And one of the things that I really think about, because this does go through my mind, this does cross my mind sometimes, I put in a lot of work to keep myself healthy, and I put in a lot of work to help other people get healthy, and I love it. I love it. But there are some days, especially when it's my own health, I don't feel it as much when I'm helping other people get healthy, because that energizes me, and that helps me, and that actually helps me stay on my own health goals, helping other people. And that is what I always tell people is my insurance policy, is that I'm helping other people get healthy. But sometimes there are definitely days that I just want to say, to heck with it. Like, what am I doing? Why am I putting in this much effort? This is so hard. Life is hard. And I just want to throw in the towel and forget about it and just let it go and go back to being 100 pounds overweight. But the truth is, life was not easy then either. Life was really hard then. And actually, life was probably harder then. And I talk about this, I've talked about this before, where you have to choose your hard. Pick your hard. Is it harder to be where you are now fighting for what you want, or is it harder to be in the way that you were before? Everything in life is hard. Everything. We have a choice all the time, and to choose your hard. But the real, this meme that I put up about, I thought about quitting, then I noticed who was watching. And as a mom, that to me is such a big deal. My kids are watching what I'm doing with every step of the way. And one of the big things for me when I made the decision 4 years ago, now it's coming up on 4 years, crazy, crazy, crazy in my mind that this journey has been going on for almost 4 years. And when I made the decision to really change my life and get healthy, I did it because part of it was I was a ticking time bomb. I knew that if I didn't take care of my health, I wasn't going to be here. I would not be sitting here now, not just sitting here doing the live, but I wouldn't be sitting here. I probably would not be alive now if I had not made a change 4 years ago, or started on the path 4 years ago. I actually didn't start until March of 2016. But if I hadn't started to make that decision that life really needed to change, and that that I hit the wrong button, that if I hadn't made that decision, 4 years ago, that something had to change, I wouldn't be alive today. I can guarantee that. My health, though at the time I was not having serious health conditions, that was where I was headed. They hadn't diagnosed me with anything, but I knew that was where I was going. I was sleeping with a bottle of baby aspirin next to my bed because I was terrified of having a heart attack in the middle of the night. Heart disease runs in my family. My father had a dissecting aortic aneurysm at 40 years old, and thank God he survived it, but he was in really good health and really good shape, and he took care of himself, and that was a big piece of what saved him. And I wasn't in that place. If I had had a heart attack, or if I had had an issue like that, my body was not healthy. It would not have been able to survive it, and I knew that. And I didn't want that. God gave me this gift. These 3 amazing, beautiful children gave me this gift of these children, and I wasn't taking care of myself to be able to take care of them. And what was I teaching them? That was a big piece to me. I really wanted to teach them about health and how to be healthy, and I wasn't living that. And I have a daughter with a long-term illness that she's going to potentially have issues down the road. Thank God, thank God, thank God. I thank God every day that she is healthy and that her medication keeps her healthy. But I didn't need to add on to her the burden of struggling with nutrition and with weight to add on top of that, because that wasn't going to help her at all in the future. But giving her good, healthy habits was. But 4 years ago, I didn't know how to do that. And I made a decision. I made a decision that it was time to change, that it didn't matter what it was going to cost. And at the time, we couldn't afford it. I can tell you, we were struggling financially. We were struggling to put food on the table. We were struggling to keep the roof over our heads. We were struggling month to month to pay our mortgage. But my husband and I looked at each other and we said, I have to do something. I had to do something. I had to change my life. And so those days when it gets tough, those days when the things in the kitchen call my name and I want to say to heck with it, and I want to say I just want to give up, what does it matter? Who cares? Because life is hard, because life is really, really, really hard sometimes. But then I stop and I think, who's watching? What is the message I'm going to send to my children? What is the message I'm going to send to all the people that I have been blessed to be able to reach out to and to help and to inspire, and the lives that have been changed because I said yes to myself almost 4 years ago? What is that going to say to them? What is that message going to say? But for me, the biggest piece is, what is that message going to say to my children if I stop now? And every time I stop and think about that to myself, I know that the answer is I can't stop now, because I want to be here for them. I want to be at their wedding. I want to meet my future grandchildren. I want all the things that come from taking care of myself. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. But I know by making good choices, it improves my chances of those things happening. So when life gets tough and you feel like you might want to give up, I don't care whether it's health and wellness, I don't care what it has to do with, but stop and take a look and say, is this worth it to give it up? Is the heart of what I'm doing better than the heart of how I was before I started doing this? And if I give it up, what is this going to do to the others, the people that I love and care around me? How are they going to feel? What is this going to do? What is the message that's going to send them? Because that's really powerful. So with that, that's part of why when I go on vacations, people ask me, wow, you take all your own food, you prep all your stuff, you're packing your kids' snacks ahead of time. Like I said, I'm going to go through, and as we get this all prepped this week, tomorrow is my big cooking day. I'm going to be making, cooking off the food to take with us. Or some of it. My husband gets to grill the chicken so we can freeze it so we can take our chicken, but I'm going to make the quiches, and I'm going to make some of the other stuff that we can take so that we have healthy food. And like I said, my kids' snacks, what we're taking from here is already divvied up and packed up. And why do I do it? I do it because I'm teaching my children, and I'm saying to everybody, my health is important to me. My life is important to me. And that's what I challenge you to say as we go into, so many people are creating New Year's resolutions, which I can tell you, hello, for 38 years, I created New Year's resolutions. And how many of those did I fit? Well, it wasn't 38 years because I was 38, turning 39 when I started this. But probably for about 30 of those years, I was creating New Year's resolutions, many of them revolving around getting healthy. And pretty much every single year with those, I broke them. There's some crazy statistics with that. Only 9.2% of the people who make a quote unquote New Year's resolution actually keeps it past the end of January. 42% of the people who make New Year's resolutions claim that they make one every year and never keep it. I was part of that 42% up until a few years ago. It's crazy, but we don't have to be that way. There's such a difference, and we talked about this in our live a couple weeks ago about how to create a resolution that you can actually keep. And it's not about creating resolutions. It's about setting goals, and it's about making a decision that you're worth it, whatever that is, whether it's health and wellness, whether it's finances, whether it's whatever your goal is, whether it's doing well in school, whether it's building your relationship, or improving your relationship with your children or your spouse or your friends, whatever those things are. It's about creating goals, and it's about setting your mind to it, and it's about creating new healthy habits. And that's what I had to do. And that's what I teach people to do, and that's what I help people do. And I'll tell you, it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. But it's not impossible. And when it feels hard, that's when we have to look around and say, if I stop now, who am I going to let down besides myself? Who is relying on me? Because that's a piece of it. Who's watching, and whose life, who are you saying? If I were to give up now, not only would I be saying I'm giving up on myself, but to be honest, I'd be saying I'm giving up on my kids, because I did this so that I can be around for them. I did this so I can teach them new healthy habits. So if I give up on myself, I'm giving up on them, and I'm giving up on everything that we've been building. And I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to do that. And I don't think you are either. And so as we finish up this decade, as we wrap up 2019 and we go into 2020, as we start a new year, let's not wait until the new year to get started. If you've got something that you want to do, don't wait until January 1, 2020. There's nothing magical about January 1. No more magical than today, December 16th. Are we at the 16th? I don't even know what day we're on. Today, December 16th. There is nothing more magical about December 16th than there is January 1. The magical day is the day you look in the mirror and decide, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to make a change in my life, whatever that change is, and I'm going to make a decision to do it. I'll tell you about that day in my life. I made that decision. It actually happened to be, it was my 39th birthday. And I looked in the mirror, and I was 75 plus pounds overweight, feeling miserable. I had lost a whole lot of weight doing some other stuff, and over the course of 6 months prior, I had put most of it back on. And I was looking in the mirror, and I was feeling miserable. And I looked there, and I stared at myself, and I said, I don't want to look like this. I don't want to be in this place when I turn 40 next year. I can't. I'm done. And I knew that if I waited, there was a good chance I wasn't going to see my 40th birthday. As I told you when we started this, my father had a dissecting aortic aneurysm at 40. And, I'm built just like his family. My genes I am straight his side of the family. And I looked at it and I said, I'm a ticking time bomb. And I want to be here. And I can't live this way anymore. And I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm done. I'm done. That year on January 1, I had made a resolution that I was going to get healthy again. And what happened? January 1 came, January went by, and at the end of January, I wasn't in any better spot. I was probably in a worse spot than I was January 1. And February, I said, I'm going to do it now. And February came, and my birthday is at the end of February. My birthday is February 22nd. And February 22nd, I was looking in the mirror, and I went, what in the world am I doing? What in the world am I doing? I tried this on January 1, and I'm worse off almost 2 months later, and I'm not where I want to be. And that was when I made the decision. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I'm done. I'm done living this way. I deserve to be here. My kids deserve to have a mother. For those of you who don't know, when Elliot was born, I almost died on the table. It was a whole traumatic whatever. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I was saved God let me live. God, saved me in that. And I was here to raise my 3 children, and I'm not taking care of myself, and I'm done not taking care of myself. And when I turn 40, I will be in good health. And that's what I did. I picked up the phone and I made a change. It's a couple weeks later that I started the program for sure. March 6th is when I started the program. But I made a change. I found a way. It took us a little bit of time because I had to figure out how we were going. Like I said, when I started this, we were financially in a really, 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 really dire place, which was not helping any of my physical pieces of it. Because physically I was a mess, but emotionally I was a mess. Financially we were a mess. I was a mess. I was beyond a mess. But I decided that I didn't want to live my life as a mess anymore. And that's when I decided to make a change. And I haven't looked back since. So if you are thinking about quitting, if you saw that meme on my page today that said I thought about quitting, but then I noticed who was watching, pay attention to it. Print it out. Hang it up. If you're having a rough time, if you feel like giving up on whatever you're working towards, know you can lean into me. You can lean into friends. There's so many people out there that are going to lift you up. Lean into that community because you're worth it. I'm here to tell you you are worth it and your goals are worth it. So let's wrap up this year. Let's wrap up 2019 and make it an amazing last 2 weeks to the year, 2.5 weeks to the year, and let's start 2020 off strong. Dream big, but don't just dream big. Set big goals. Come in and join our group, Building a Better Me. Come in and join that group and get that support and lean in. Have a great night, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.